I was so excited to get my shipment from Last Bottle Wines in the mail the other day, full of incredible red wines, all from Napa Valley. I love wine tasting, so having this to my door couldn't be happier. Also, couldn't be more excited that today's episode is brought to you by Last Bottle Wines. If you don't know already, they're a Napa-based online wine shop with a twist. They offer just one handpicked wine per day until it sells out, and they're always at incredible prices. We're talking 30 to 70% off retail. And the best part is that there's no subscriptions, no fees, and no minimum purchase. And I could not be more excited to bring this offer right now because they're having a marathon sale, which is coming up March 28th and 29th. Even better, we're offering Dateable listeners 10% off your first order with code DATEABLE. So if you are a wine lover like me, this is a great time to join. And did I mention that shipping is 100% free? So what are you waiting for? Mark your calendar for March 28th and 29th, or get on it earlier if you want. You can sign up at lastbottlewines.com and use code DATEABLE and find out why Last Bottle is the most fun way to discover and buy amazing wine.
The Dateable podcast is an insider's look into modern dating that the Huffington Post calls one of the top 10 podcasts about love and sex. I'm your host, Yue Shu, former dating coach turned dating sociologist. You'll also hear from my co-host, Julie Krafchick. On each episode, we'll talk to real daters about everything, from sex parties to sex droughts, date fails to diaper fetishes, and first moves to first loves. We are excited you've joined us for an older episode. While our earlier seasons were all about dating in San Francisco, we quickly realized all the themes and learnings are universal for all daters. So we shifted to covering dating from all around the world as the seasons progress. The fun part is, things happen first in San Francisco, the tech epicenter and counterculture capital of the world. We love for you to keep tuning in to our older episodes, but there is no set order to listen in, so feel free to jump to more recent seasons or relevant episodes for you. Enjoy the show.
We are so thrilled to be partnering with Hinge. Hinge is the dating app designed to be deleted. As you all know, I'm a huge Hinge advocate as I met my partner of almost 3 years on the app. Even before meeting him, Hinge was always my go-to app because I met more relationship-minded people here and had some great dates. Clearly, I haven't been on the app for a little while, but I re-downloaded it to check out some of the new features. One that stood out to me was the voice prompt, my best friend's take on why you should date me, where your friend can hype you up. Not only does this make the profile creation less daunting, but it's not always easy to see your own green flags. So to test it out, I asked Yue some fun prompts to get her take on what I could put if I was dating again. So the first one, how long have we known each other? What was your first impression of me and how has that changed?
Julie and I have known each other for almost 10 years. My first impression of Julie was that she's very social, but I've learned that she has a lot more depth to her beyond the social butterfly that she is.
My next prompt, what do you think are my green flags?
I would say she's deeply loyal, she believes in love, curious mindset, and she is fearlessly ambitious.
And then last but not least, what kind of friend am I?
Julie is the kind of friend who will always have your back, no matter what.
Damn, that feels nice to hear. So download Hinge and try voice prompts today. Then find someone worth deleting the app for.
This episode of Dateable is brought to you by 500 Brunches. Meet like-minded people who share your interests over brunch.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Dateable, a show that opens up a candid conversation about dating in San Francisco.
And that very interesting introduction was by the lovely Michael Vargas, who's not 80 years old.
And the woman that just hurt my feelings, but also gave me a compliment for a very radio-like voice is our lovely UA. On each episode, we dissect a dating story, and today we have Jessica. Jessica, are you there?
I am here.
Yeah, so why don't you share with us your story?
Oh, man. I was dating this guy for, on and off for like 10 months, and we ended up, breaking up at the end of it because he was like seeing someone else.
Ouch.
Or yeah, that's the problem. You always think you meet someone and you're like, yeah, this is great. and then they're dating like 5 other people.
So you guys never DTR'd?
What? No, he all the time was like, no, it's only you. He, like, right when we met, it was like, oh, I just broke up with my girlfriend. We started dating, quote unquote. And then, I thought we were more serious. I mean, because he told me we were. And then he would do all these horrible things. Like, we would go to a bar and he would, like, leave with another girl. And then,
I like how you're giggling through this.
And, then throughout this whole thing, then we'd, like, quote unquote break up. But one time he was like, this isn't a breakup because we're not even together. And I was like, oh, okay.
Did you call him your boyfriend? Did he call you his girlfriend?
No. Like, it was definitely not that serious. But it was serious. He would, like, show up at my house and be like, I love you.
Question, Jessica. Did you, when he said he loved you, did you feel like you actually loved this guy?
Oh, God, that's such a good question. Yeah, it was like Stockholm syndrome. Like, I was at his house once and I found like girls' clothes in his room, and I was just like, that's so fucked up. And I actually remember telling him, like, it's fine, like, you can sleep with whoever you want, you can hook up and do with whatever you want with anyone. What is wrong with me? Who does that?
So basically, he's not at fault at all. You are.
Yeah. Basically. But this whole thing is both parties, you set the precedents for like what you want, right? That was totally acceptable behavior and I put up with it. And so like that was fine, right? The other day my girlfriend was like, oh yeah, I'm going on a date. And she's like, oh yeah, he's coming to my house at 1 a.m. And I was like, what? Excuse me? That's that's not a date. And she's like, no, it is. It totally is. We totally, like, we allow for this kind of like behavior, and so then it's like it's just perpetuates. So I don't know, guys do it, women do it.
I think this story brings up a great idea of like the psyche of what's going on, the psyche of the person who stays in a relationship even though it's not working for them, and the psyche of the person who keeps having the relationship there even though they're doing other things. And I kind of want to talk about the guy's perspective a little bit on here. And I imagine this guy had just extremely low self-value. This guy probably did not feel good about who he was as a human being. And so one of the things that he needed was having several women around him to kind of make him feel better. And unfortunately, I think that's something that a lot of guys are taught, because we're not allowed to express how we feel, so we have to find a way to manage our emotions. And low self-worth is not the best one. So one of the best things that a guy can do, or seem to be a best thing, is to just kind of sleep with as many girls as possible, and not only like have that experience, but also continually pull the emotional feel from her to solidify his worth.
Michael, don't you think at some, okay, sure, maybe he had low self-esteem, or maybe this guy had really high self-esteem and he could get away with all this and still not be at fault for anything, because he never defined the relationship with Jessica. He never said that he was in a monogamous relationship. So, I mean, if I were a guy, I'd be like high-fiving him.
So the thing that we have here that is actually pretty common is two things. We have, sorry to put this, but we have someone who's a narcissist and someone who's codependent, right? And so the narcissist is the person that wants to make sure everything that they have needed is satisfied, and then we have someone who's codependent that wants to have the relationship but will do anything for the other person to make sure the relationship is still going, even if they know that it's kind of hurting them a little bit. Does that sound kind of accurate?
Oh, yeah, I mean, probably. And I think at different times, like, I played one role, and then, like, I think sometimes I played the other role. We would break up, quote unquote, again, break up, and then inevitably, like, we'd always end up, quote unquote, back together. And it was just like this awful cycle.
So what was it that made you said, okay, I'm done?
Are you crying? What's going on?
I'm laughing because it's just so funny.
Well, that's the other version of tears is laughter.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I mean, I think the big thing was basically just all my friends hated him. When I found like other girls' stuff in his room, and my reaction was, oh yeah, no big deal. Like I at first was like really hurt, and then I was like, oh wait, no big deal. Like yeah, you can totally sleep with anyone you want. It was kind of after that weekend I was like, wow, like I've really hit like an all-time low. Like I've completely like lost all respect for myself.
I feel like a lot of us could relate to that because as independent women, something that we try to do is overcompensate. So it's like we want to come off as like the cool girl, the girl that doesn't want to commit too fast, who's not desperate, who doesn't want to have that define the relationship conversation yet. So we go the opposite way a little bit too much to the point where like, no, we can tolerate this. Yeah, no, I'm cool with this. And then you're like, why am I doing this? Why am I trying to prove that I am that cool girl by hurting myself as a result?
It sounds like you're just walking on eggshells. Like the idea that you're talking about is like just walking on eggshells to do whatever you can to make sure the relationship continues.
And maybe not even on eggshells, but more just, you allow behaviors, from the other person or, situations that aren't something that are okay to you. If, for example, like if you are in an open relationship and you are happy with it and you're okay with it and, and that's like what you decide and you're like, okay, this is me, this is what I want. Awesome. But like, I am not that person, right? So that kind of relationship, it's like, that would be like me being in one of those relationships, even though I know I'm not, and I could never do that, and just being like, oh yeah, I'm totally cool with that.
What was it about this guy that made you stick around for so long?
That is a great question. I have no idea. I think I think it was the timing. I think I was very attracted to him. When I met him, I was basically just moved to San Francisco. I didn't really know a ton of people and I didn't really know a lot of places, and he just lives like this crazy awesome like lifestyle. Lives in Lower Pack Heights, goes out on Polk, lives in the hangs out in the marina, like, when I met him.
Sounds like your typical douche.
Yeah. Basically.
Except for you, whoever's listening that does that. You're the exception.
But it was kind of just like this crazy thing. We met during SantaCon and had this crazy like one night whirlwind SantaCon romance. I don't know. And
SantaCon romance.
Oh yeah,
I love it.
Pretty romantic, I gotta say.
Not to divulge too much detail, but I may or may not have spent the night at his house. Either way, like the next morning we wake up. The only clothes I have are obviously a Santa outfit. He actually puts his back on and like we went to brunch.
Well, it also just sounds like he didn't grow up or he hasn't grown up. It's that Peter Pan syndrome and a lot of us go through that in San Francisco. A lot of us are still stuck in that. But I wonder it feels like what you guys had was a great story. And I think sometimes we get stuck on that story, of how you met or how this whirlwind romance took off. And then you want to make it work because it sounds like it's such a great story to tell your friends and to tell your family that you kind of create a person that's not real. Part of this is obviously your fantasy, and a part of this is his Peter Pan syndrome. And I hope that you learn from this. Are you still victim of this?
Oh, no, absolutely not. But I and that's what's funny. It was 10 months on and off dating, but I learned so much. It's just unbelievable. He'll still like check me out on LinkedIn, and I'm just like, bro, just
on LinkedIn.
Now. Oh, yeah.
Wow, that's taking it to a whole new level.
I think, sorry, producer chiming in. I think as shitty as that situation is, and I've been in one too, so I feel you on this, I feel like every girl at some point in their life should be in a shitty situation. Hear me out before I keep going. Because you do figure out what, like, Jessica realized what she deserves now. And by having something so shitty, you know exactly what you'll never tolerate again.
Oh,
Now
100%.
Jessica is in a wonderful relationship. So I think it really all...
Are you, Jess?
I am. It's crazy.
Yay!
Yeah.
It sounds like, sometimes we need that hurricane, that tornado to kind of ruffle everything up so that we can kind of clean it up so that we're prepared for the next thing.
Let's hold that thought for a second. We'll get right back to it.
As you know, I recently left my corporate job and I've been in total recovery mode, all about self-care. One of my new routines is the nighttime shower before bed. There's just something about washing away the day and that reflection that's been super helpful for me. I've been using one of our partners, Osea's Mega Moisture Duo. This combo body oil and body lotion are so freaking incredible. It literally feels like I'm at a spa. I realized that the secret is seaweed and other skin level ingredients that are normally reserved for face products. And that's why I was so excited when Osea became one of our partners. And, we're so grateful for partners like this because one, they keep the show going, but they're also super good for all of our listeners and for our own well-being. So if you want to have that nighttime bliss like I am doing, you can get 10% off your first order site-wide with code DATEABLE at oseamalibu.com. You'll get free samples with every order and free shipping on orders over $60. So head to oseamalibu.com and use the code DATEABLE for 10% off. Let us know which products you end up going with. Share them in social. Super excited to see what you end up choosing.
This episode is made possible by Badlands Pets. As you all know, Mojo, my precious baby, is the reason why I found love in the first place. He made me feel love again. So I would do anything to ensure his health and longevity. And actress Katherine Heigl and I have that in common. She's helped save over 16,000 dogs through her foundation. And after doing a ton of research, she feels there's one place we can look to improve any dog's health, and that's their food. So fortunately, she found that just by adding a few special superfoods to her dog's food, she saw huge transformations in their health. So she's made a 20-minute video explaining step by step how anyone can do the same thing to see incredible changes in their dog's health. I've definitely re-looked at what I'm feeding Mojo and making sure that, hey, he only has one life to live, and I want to make sure it's the best damn life. So if you want to keep your dog healthy and happy, go to badlandsfood.com/dateable and watch Catherine's video right now. Again, that's badlandsfood.com/dateable. Living with ADHD can be a challenge, and dating with ADHD is definitely a challenge, we've heard many of you say. But finding the right care and proper tools needed to succeed can be life-changing. Done is an online ADHD care platform that can get you all the resources you need to help manage your ADHD. Online visits, refills, and a 24/7 care team made for you. In just 1 minute, Dunn's online assessment can help kickstart your ADHD treatment journey. With experienced clinicians, worry-fill refills, and online visits, you can start getting personalized care as soon as today or tomorrow. So contact an expert team that can help you around the clock and get a personalized treatment plan just for you. Here's how you do it. Take a free 1-minute assessment and book an appointment with a licensed ADHD clinician as soon as the next day. Get continuous care, one-click refills, insurance coverage, and 24/7 care team support with Dunn for just $79 a month, and pharmacy copays as low as $0. Visit get.dunfirst.com/podcast to learn more. That's get.dunfirst.com/podcast to learn more. Done. Turn ADHD into your strength.
Agreed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another way to look at this is to have better communication. Like, communicate your needs, communicate your boundaries. Something we never do or hardly ever do in relationships in the beginning is setting boundaries. What does cheating mean to you? What is not okay? What is okay? What are the limits? That way we know when we've crossed the line and we can actually reprimand someone for it, as opposed to being like, well, the line was a little bit gray in the first place, so I'll let him get by with this, or I'll let her slip away with this. We just have to set the boundaries in the very beginning.
Right.
And I think another point that is being brought up here is we need to trust our instincts more, people, in general. Like, stuff happens and we have a voice in our head that says, wait, maybe this isn't okay. And then what we automatically do is we start second guessing that voice. We start shutting it down. We start saying, no, it's not a big deal, all this stuff. We need to trust that first voice. That first voice is like the voice of truth. And if we can kind of tap into that a little bit more and at least give it some leeway to kind of explore what it is that we're thinking about, I think we'd be able to kind of see these situations for what it is, as opposed to thinking, oh, we're bad. No, this isn't a big deal. No, we can kind of put this away. Which actually reminds me, John Gottman, who's one of the leading psychiatrists who studied marriage and for like 30 years, and he identified which marriages works and which one doesn't. And one of the things that he identified in a successful marriage, the people who are married 30, 40 years that are happy, not just together, but are happy, is a thing he called the poop detector.
What?
Yeah, that's the name. He's very good with his names. Poop detector. Successful couples, what they do is they often identify things that don't sit well straight from the beginning. From the moment something happens when it doesn't sit well with you or something doesn't feel right, successful couples will talk about it right away, as opposed to allowing it to build up or last 10 months later down the road.
It's so easy to say, but so hard in practice. Because I know so many couples who have problems in the beginning and individually they go, I'll let it slip by. I can tolerate this. I'm learning to accept her or him as who he or she is. And then it builds up and it turns into resentment. I love that idea. It's hard in practice.
Yep. So we got to catch the poop early.
I thought you meant like couples who poop together stay together, which I actually...
They have 2 toilets.
If you had those like back-to-back toilets, you just like take a shit together.
We're done with this podcast. We have the wisdom.
Yeah, we have the wisdom. That is the key to a long-lasting marriage. Take a shit together once a week.
Everybody poops. Poop with your lover.
.com. Buying it now. You think I'm kidding? We're buying it now. Well, okay, so Jess, do you like how I call you Jess? Like
Yeah, I love it. I totally. Yeah, like best friend.
if you saw that guy now, what would you say to him? If you just like randomly ran into him on the street, what would you say to him?
You know what? I honestly would probably hide or like duck or like I don't know what I would say to him. Thank you. You taught me how no person in a relationship should be treated. Thank you. But I would probably run. I would probably run. If I saw him, I would probably just turn around and run away.
Michael, do you have a question of the day?
Yes, I do. Sally Sue asked, how do I know when I found the right one?
Whoa, that's really, we go from pooing together. That's it. When you're able to poop together in back-to-back toilets, you know you found the right one. I hate this fucking question. Sorry, I'm gonna get angry. Because you'll never know until you found the right one, until you die and then you're like, oh, that was the right one. It's like a hindsight question. So you just have to go with it and be like, yeah, I think this is it.
So I guess maybe what would lead us more into that direction then?
Well, I think there has to be, like, have you heard that thing about work, about the 70-30 or the 80-20, like in a job, like, if it's 80% of stuff you love and 20% is like meh, or it's, 70% you love, 20% is like meh, it's okay, and like 10% is like I hate it. They say, like, if that's like kind of your job breakdown, like you're doing all right. I don't know. I kind of feel like, obviously, every human is different. When you're in a relationship, there will be things that you're inevitably just going to be like, yeah, this is great. And then there will always be things about another person that you're just like, God, like the way that person picks their nose is really annoying. Why do they do it that way?
Hey, Jessica, what do you think about a guy who blows bubbles on your stomach?
Oh my gosh.
When? Like
When? When? On the first
You're walking down the street, of course, to Trader Joe's.
I mean, that could be adorable. I don't know.
Oh, it could be adorable.
It could be. It could be, but it's also, I think it depends. Like, is this like date 1? Is this date like 50? Like, did I just eat like a giant meal? Like, what's going on, right?
I think for me, I know that I found the right one. If something really awesome happens to me or something really terrible happens to me and they're the first person I want to call. That is like the first person that pops in my head. I have to tell this person, or I have to get this person's opinion, or I have to ask for this person's help. It's like having that partner in crime. You're someone who's always on your side. That's when you know.
For me, a couple of things is one, like, I guess what's important to me is humor, and if we can make each other laugh all the time, I think that's a really good indicator. Also, if this person just gives me energy for the most part, like if we energize each other pretty consistently, I think those two are very good indicators of, okay, this person's worth my time. Let me find more about who she is.
I love that.
Oh, and when she blows on my stomach too, I know we're in complete sync.
Oh, so you like to receive as well? Okay.
What? No, wait, what?
He's equal opportunist. He receives and gives. That's good. That's great.
The blowing goes both ways. Got it. All right, guys. We're going to end this here. Don't forget to submit your stories. And remember, you can always remain anonymous. We can change your name. We can change the names of the people in your story. We want to make sure you're safe in this really scary dating universe. And last but not least, Michael.
Stay dateable.
The Dateable podcast is recorded in San Francisco. We would like to thank our sponsor, 500 Brunches, for making this happen. To connect with us, visit dateablepodcast.com.